Church devotional series where we cover the entire Bible in 20 months. Well, it's evening. We've just finished dinner. This is the last remains of this delightful evening I've had with my wife. And it's the perfect setting to talk about this new book of the Bible, that of Esther. Now, I don't know about you, but I have often looked back on my life and thought, I wonder what God was doing, what the pieces that he was moving. I mean, even just to meet my wife. He moves her up to Maritzburg. I come to Maritzburg. She studies, we study. She's a Methodist. She winds up coming to this funny little home group. I'm busy helping lead this home group. It's amazing. I remember coming once down a hill on my bicycle. I was 14 years old. There's a very steep hill, and I took it too fast. And so I had to swerve out into upcoming traffic. There was a car overtaking a bus. And I knew that if I turned too much, I wasn't skilled enough, I would slide under the bus. So I held my line and the car moved out of the way. I went between the bus and the car. I think one day when I'm in heaven, I'm going to find out that there was either an angel holding my bike or an angel moving that car or God whispering into that guy, go left. But I think God's at work all the time in your life, my life. And this book of the Bible is a brilliant example of that, because you know that there is not even a mention of God in the book of Esther. It's not his name, that he exists, nothing. It's a story. It's a story set in the citadel of Susa, which is the capital of the Babylonian Empire. And it's a story about some of the exiles that had been taken out of Israel back into Babylon. Remember, this story is set about 100 years after the exile. So many Jews had gone back. Nehemiah had gone back. Zerubbabel had gone back. Ezra had gone back. 50,000 people at a time had gone back, but some had been left behind. And this story follows the lives of some of those people and the rest of them that were living in Babylon and the danger that came in. And the writer, who's anonymous, by the way, invites us into the story. You're going to love the story. Movies have been made about this. It's like intriguing. It's got romance in it. It's got betrayal. It's got espionage. It's got, murder and all sorts of horrific. There's a twist in the tale. But the writer writes it in such a way that he draws you into saying, for that to have happened, God must have been there. For this to have happened, God must have been there. He's working behind the scenes. So not only is it pointing to rescue, pointing to the coming of Jesus, pointing to God's hand preparing a people for himself, it is doing that. But it's more than that. It's inviting you to see God in the detail. So it starts like this. There's this king, Xerxes. He's a bit of a useless case. He spends half his time drunk. He's having one party after another, showing off what he's inherited. Anyway, at the end of one of his parties, he was in a very drunk state. He calls for his wife. He sends the eunuchs out. He says, Queen Vashti, come and display your beauty. She says, no, wait, I'm parading in front of your drunk mates. She calls out, she summons out, but she won't come. So he's furious, and in a fit of rage, he deposes her of her crown. He practically exiles her. She's never going to see his face again. Anyway, when he wakes up and he sobers up, he realizes, his kingdom doesn't have a queen. So he calls his wise men, and they say, well, look, we better hold a beauty pageant. And so they go round up all the beautiful young virgins that they can find in the kingdom, and they bring them to his harem, and they have this beauty pageant that lasts years. They're under a eunuch, and they've got to go through 12 months of beauty treatment. They get paraded before the king, and there's this Jewish family. She's an orphan girl, raised by her cousin, who catches his fancy. Now you've got to ask yourself the question, how did she even get in the lineup? She's in exile. She's not even a local. She hasn't got parents backing her. How did she get in the lineup? And then how did she win? She doesn't even know the customs, and yet the favor of God is on her. At the same time, her cousin who raised her is sitting at the gate, and he overhears an assassination plot I mean, why was he there? Right time, right place. He gets the word to Vashti. Vashti gets it to the king. It sets it up for an intriguing story. You're going to love it. Catch you tomorrow.